guys. Here we are with Steve Drollinger. He is a member here in Structure U, and he and I literally met, what, Steve, 10 minutes ago,
Yeah.
and this dude is pouring out passion. Like, I'm excited to get this conversation started because just a good dude. And we're going to talk a little bit of everything, life, business, just a little bit of everything. And I'm excited. And so, Steve, just introduce yourself. Tell us where you're from, married, kids. Give us all that jazz.
Hey, fellas. Hope you guys are crushing it. It's Friday and the sun is shining. It's a good day.
You got that right.
I'm Steve Drollinger. I'm 38 years old. I got a birthday coming up. I'm from Oakwood, Illinois, so a small little town, about 1,600 people. I graduated in 2000. I own my own business. I own an auto body repair facility. That's all I've known. I knew at a young age I wanted to have a body shop, so I went banging on doors the summer of my junior year and got my foot in the door to shop. And so at 16, got in, worked through them through high school, ended up working with them till 22. 15 years later, here I am. I own my own business. I am married to my wife, Nicole. We've been married 12 years. We've got one beautiful daughter, Ella. And of course, like every dad, she's the most beautiful and smartest little girl ever.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, we still live here in Oakwood.
So how did you know when at such a young age that was going to be your passion was to own a body shop?
So
what drew you to cars and working on cars?
So growing up, when I was a little kid, my dad had an old car. He had a 1936 Chevy, and he's building this car. I grew up with this car. Never saw the car get done. Never did. But he was working on it. But we didn't have money. I grew up in the trailer park, just behind my house now. And my dad was just building his car as he could scrape together a few bucks to buy parts and stuff. But so I'm out there handing him wrenches, and he's trying to do his own body work and stuff. And so we, went to car shows. And so that kind of began that appeal towards cars. And then I started getting into art, and I did a lot of drawing and painting and artwork. And so as I started getting older, I loved like the custom cars, the paint jobs and stuff like that. And so I just had it in my head. I was like, I want a car custom paint job that I did.
Yeah.
And then so our junior year in high school, we were able to do some job shadowing. And I was like, man, let's try a body shop. So for like 2 weeks, I just went to this body shop and hung out. And I was just like, dude, this is hands-on. I love this. And so I ended up that year, I was able to go ahead and get into a vocational school. They called it VOTech. It was here in town, and did auto body my junior year. And then I said, then at the end of that summer, I was able to get my foot in the door. And then it locked me into that job. But luckily, I caught on well, which I'm OCD and I'm a perfectionist. And, so it worked out in this industry because you kind of have to pay attention to details,
For sure.
Yes. And so it worked out. One thing I pulled this out. I got a little something here. This is pretty cool. So Oakwood High School, 2000. This is senior night. Any of you athletes, senior night is your last home event. And I was a wrestler, okay? Dirty little sweaty wrestler. And when the teachers come to you, or the coach at that time, I don't remember, but they say, Mr. Drollinger, what are you going to do the rest of your life? You look right here. I don't know if you can see that.
Open his own body shop.
That was in 2000.
Dude, that's awesome.
It's in paper. I put it down. And so it took me 15 years. I opened up business in 2015.
So right there, I mean, you had a vision. I'm big now on these visions, and we talked a little bit ago about setting goals. And
Yes.
It may have taken you 15 years, but those 15 years was also learning experiences. So, and you were working pretty hand in hand, I think, with the last company that you were with for what was it, almost 10 years.
It was 1 month shy of 10 years. Yes.
And you were learning, how to run a business. They were almost grooming you for that. And it was like,
absolutely
set you up perfectly.
Yes. And so that shop I was at, we discussed 8.5 years of me buying his shop.
Wow.
And it's looking back, it's kind of funny, but again, I've been so driven. And at that time, I lacked patience. And on my birthday, I always, instead of being happy, I was always in the worst mood on my birthday. Every year, the guys knew it was my birthday because I was Mr. Grumpy.
Really?
And in my head, it was that another year has come and passed, and I have not achieved what I have set out to do. And again, at that, I'm 25. I'm still a young gun, but I'm thinking, man, I'm 25. I still don't have a shop. And so I was miserable. And then actually now, since I opened up my shop, I finally I love birthdays. But that is what opened up my eyes to patience. It seems like it's 15 years. If you would have told me when I wrote this down on paper, it's going to take you 15 years, I would have been like, dude, that seems like forever.
Yes.
But now, I opened up a shop at 32, and I'm a pretty saturated market with body shops. There's a lot of shops here in town, a lot of owners. I pulled the trigger younger than any of them did. So I was like the young gun that opened up a shop. So I was still ahead of the game.
Yes.
But it felt like it took me way too long. So now, that's what I like to tell guys, man, patience. Just slowly chip away and keep your eyes on that goal that you set on paper. And as well as I do, time flies.
Time flies.
It flies.
And a question now, looking back now, but I guess you didn't understand at the time, but looking back, you're like, man, that whole thing was a process that set me up for this, because I'm sure once you opened up, you probably just went and you skyrocketed because you already knew exactly what to do.
Yes.
But now, now as you set goals, do you enjoy the process a little more and enjoy that journey, knowing that if I continue on this process, doing the things I need to get done, I'll get there. It's just going to take patience.
It's funny you kind of mentioned that. And that was something I was wanting to discuss a little bit today.
Let's rock and roll.
Some advice. And I'm sure other guys can relate to this as well. So again, I talked forever of having my own shop. I said my wife, we started dating when I was 20. So for 12 years, all she heard is someday I'm gonna have my own shop. So, and I'd always said that if I could have my own business and work for myself and make the same amount of money as I did that I did working for a shop, I'll be the happiest man in the world. And Mike, what was really weird was the first year was super exciting because it was so new. It was scary.
Yeah.
I started with nothing, no cars in the shop, and I'm like, hey guys, I'm here. But it was fun. I was on cloud nine. About a year and a half in, I'll never forget it. I started in February. It was actually Father's Day weekend. Every year I take my dad out fishing, take him out on the boat. And so I'm on the front of the boat and I'm fishing. And my dad gives me the old, hey, son, I'm worried about you. What do you mean? And he said, man, you've changed. You're really high strung and you seem stressed. And you're more aggressive because, even though I was a wrestler, I'm not an aggressive guy. I've never been in a fist fight. Getting punched sounds like it hurts. That's not my thing. But he kind of brought it to my attention. And within a week, now maybe they even collaborated and I didn't know, but we're sitting at the dinner table and my wife mentions the same thing. And my daughter's sitting there. And of course, at this time, she's only probably like 2. And my wife said, sweetheart, I'm worried. So what? And she said, all these years you said, if you could have your own shop, make the same amount of money as you did working for somebody, you'd feel like the luckiest, happiest man in the world. And I've been blessed from day one when I opened up the shop. She said, "You're making more money than you ever had, and you're the unhappiest you've ever been."
Oh man, that's a shot to the gut, isn't it?
It is, and it is. And so at that time, it gets into that the old, the famous not Dave Ramsey, Tony Robbins quote. Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure.
Yes.
And that's something that I feel like I'm starting to make, gain traction on. But so I luckily hit the ground running with the business. I was exceeding all the goals. My customers have been fantastic and they spread the word for me. I couldn't ask for a better following. But when it comes to friends, family, business, the business is booming. But getting to that point where, where can you say, you know what, hey, I did it. I made it. And then you get those little guys on each shoulder was like,
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
you made it. What are you so upset about? And then, I'll walk to the mailbox at the shop because it's a good little haul from my shop. And so I'll deliberately just go to the mailbox and I have to have a self-talk, like, dude, chill out, turn around, look at the shop, look at what you did. You've made it, so finding that fulfillment has been tough for me because I know this sounds stupid coming from a business owner. I'm not necessarily in the mindset of wanting to grow anymore because I've got a small facility and we've pretty much maxed out the volume we could pump through without getting a bigger facility. And that's not in my game plan. From day one, staying small was the plan. Keep overhead low, keep it small, and just have fun and make some money doing what I love.
Yes.
And what has kind of happened is we've gotten so busy, and again, it's a blessing. It's every business owner's dream, have more work than he can handle. But then, you're like, how are we going to get all this done? And I've got 6 employees. And so now you're dealing with employees and customers and insurance companies. And, it's just been, I guess, a shock, how to manage all that.
Yeah. So, when you say when you started your journey of finding fulfillment, where do you think where have you found that fulfillment, or what, because internally we have to do work on ourselves to find that fulfillment.
Yes.
Because I was in the same situation as you. I had accumulated stuff and things were great, but I wasn't any happier. My life wasn't any better. I realized if I get rid of all of it, I'm still at that point. I'm like, shit, I'm still unhappy, Yeah. So I had to do a lot of work on me. So what was it? What was the kind of work you did on yourself to find that fulfillment?
So one thing I have been trying to do, which actually I kind of incorporated last summer, was sneaking out one day a week through, from the shop, and actually started going golfing with one of my buddies from school, lifelong friends,
Yeah.
And it was funny because he initiated it. He stopped in on a Tuesday, and I'm at the shop. We're busy, and he pulls in. I hadn't seen him in a while. And he's like, "Hey, man, what are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "I'm working. What do you think I'm doing?" And he goes, "Hey, you want to go golfing at 1?" And I look at him like an idiot. I'm like, "Bro, have you seen my lot? I'm busy. I can't go golfing." So like an hour later, I sit down and talking to my secretary, and she is phenomenal, does an amazing job, and she deals with me, and that's key. I have a lot to handle. And her name's Becky. I'm like, "Becky, you're not gonna believe this is crazy. My buddy stopped in and wants me to go golfing tomorrow." And she just looks at me and she's like, "Go. We've got this."
That's awesome.
So that evening I get home and I'm telling my wife, "Hey, Jay stopped by today." And of course she's like, "Babe, you need to golf. You need to go. This business can't hold you prisoner. You need more time for yourself." And so I messaged him that night. I was like, "Bro, 1:00 it is." And so we started doing that every Wednesday, but we caught it late in the summer. So we only got, 5 or 6 weeks in.
Yeah.
But so trying to take more time for myself, I find is helping.
I think that's super important because, yeah, you started this business, but you probably didn't start the business to still continually work 40, 60, 80 hours a week.
Right.
Whenever I started a business, I was like, I want to start a business for time freedom. Yeah, the financial stuff, that'll take care of itself. But if I want to take my kids to the zoo on a Tuesday, I'm out.
Yeah.
But like you, I've never wanted, my goal was never to be a huge company. I wanted something, that could run smoothly. I didn't want to have to deal with employees. But I think too, we go through different seasons of life. And at this point now, I'm sitting here looking at my business and everything we've got going on. I'm like, we're set up for growth. Like, I could get another truck on the road and a couple more employees, and this thing could run like a well-oiled machine. So like this year, my word, I don't know if you have a word of the year. My word this year is just growth in every aspect of my life. I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to grow, spiritually, with my marriage, my physical fitness, all this stuff. And so growth is my word for the year. Yeah. So, yeah. And I wanted you to go back and also share the story of talking with your father about this, because I think that a lot of people could relate to this, because that could have crushed you. This story could have crushed you, and you could have been like, who am I to think, I'm going to do this?
Yeah. So, I have had over the years a few friends of mine come to me and, they'll ask me, Steve, what was the defining moment when you knew it was time to open up your own business? And that's really hard to pinpoint a specific moment, because I feel like it took all 15 years to build it up. So as I'm thinking like, when was the moment I was like, all right, mic drop, this is it. So my wife and I were at my dad's house eating dinner with him and his girlfriend. And I had pictures on my phone of the building that I now had that is my shop. And of course, I'd looked at these things a million times, and I've already ran the business on paper, ran every which way. And so I'm showing him like, hey, Dad, check this out. And at the time he was, like 55, 56 years old. He's a baby boomer. And again, I feel like, and hopefully I don't offend any you guys out there, because it's not too late for you. But he tends to have a little bit of a negative mindset. And a lot of baby boomers I've encountered have that. We're sitting there, and I show him these pictures, and I'm running my ideas by him, and he hits me with the noise that I cringe when anybody makes it. And he goes, I don't know. And it's just that breath, because I hate negativity. And that sound, that's just step one right out the gate with negative thoughts.
Yes. And
so for some reason it triggered me. And I said, you know what, Dad, how old are you? And he's like, 55. And I said, how many times have you mentioned you wanted your own business, but you just kept talking about it, and all you could point out was the negative things, and it's risky. Of course it's risky. And so I just kind of sat back and I, of course I kind of got loud, and I said, I can't be you, 55, and still talking about it. I said, I've been talking about having a shop since I was 16. At this time I was like 30 or 31 when I bought the building, because I didn't even start the business right away. I bought the building and slowly had to fix it up and equip it, and did some side hustle work out of it before I actually pulled the trigger to open up shop. But I said, I can't be that guy. I can't be 55 and still talking. Talking doesn't get it. And I've always been one that says, don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah.
And that's when I had that moment. I was like, you know what? I'm always telling everybody, don't talk about it, be about it. I can't be that do as I say, not as I do type guy. So I kind of had, so we end up, Dad's like, I think you need to go. And we probably didn't talk for like 2 weeks because of it. Of course, my wife was like, how do you talk to your dad like that? I'm like, well, but it's true. Sometimes the truth hurts, and I wasn't trying to jab at him to hurt him, but that I was kind of on the defense as well, because he's kind of trying to crush my dreams here,
Yes.
But back, that was kind of one of the defining moments where I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this. It's time to shut up and put up and make it happen.
I love that. I love that story because, being a positive person, having that very optimistic mindset, some people that are, say they're on the fence, I'm going to show my dad this, see what his thoughts are. And if he says that and you're like, that could crush someone's dreams. And And how often do we let other people's opinions or perceptions, cause us not to do something, or cause us to just have those bad feelings? And it's too bad. But as a society, I feel like we've gotten very soft. It's pretty obvious to see, but we need a little bit tougher skin. There for a long time, like I had some thin skin, and being in business, like I want to make everybody happy. Like that's one of my goals. And if somebody says something to me, sometimes I'm like, it'll ruin my weekend. And I'm like, dang, I got to let some of that stuff go, because what if they were just having a really terrible day? Maybe their dog got ran over today and they took it out on me,
Yeah. Yep.
So, but as a society, and especially as men, like we need to be a little bit tougher, Yep. And I can tell, talking to you, like you've got this passion that people on this, they're going to resonate with, and they're like, who's this Steve dude? I want to know him more. But dude, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Hang out with me for an hour. I'll talk you into quitting your job.
Yes, sir. And now in your body shop, now do you guys do like full restorations? Well, and I'm asking this personally because I've got a 1991 K5 Blazer. My wife says we're getting this thing restored to the max, and I'm like, I've watched those shows. That's going to cost like $50,000.
So we really don't do that anymore. And again, that's been kind of something where I'm hoping to maybe get back into as my passion. When I first got going, of course, nobody knew who I was. They hadn't seen my work. The people weren't out spreading the word and talking. I brought in some stuff, and because I said that's what got me into it to begin with, was helping my dad build old cars. But the problem I ran into is a small facility. They take up quite a bit of space, and then a lot of time. And so in the body shop world, if you do any kind of collision work, if you want to get business, pull in a restoration, because then 6 cars get towed in. That's what happens. You're like, oh, nothing. Let's get a car in, and it's towed in. And then so I have just kind of learned over time, it's your best to just take it to a restoration shop, somebody that can focus on it. You either do that, or you do collision insurance work. And so that's pretty much where I've kind of gone to, just because the demand on the restoration work isn't quite there, which I know it could be, because like anything, if you go all in on it, the word will spread, and people will come no matter where you're at. The work will come. But for me, the money and the profit margins is better, in the insurance collision work.
Yeah, it makes sense. And there, over this conversation, I'm huge into this entire mindset process. And so as we've been talking, I've noticed, I feel like 4 things. You had a vision at a young age. Then you set goals. I mean, you had pictures on your phone of these things, the shop that you want. And then, excuse me, you had the ability, whenever it was time, to take action. But along the whole process, you had patience. You knew that, like, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to have. And, you did all those things. I mean, dude, that's so commendable, because how many of us fall short of having the patience? Right. I was talking to a guy today, and I don't want to step on his toes, but he had left his job as I believe he was a welder, to go do another job, and it didn't pan out. And he's like, well, all's well that ends well. They welcomed me back as a welder with open arms. And I'm like, but dude, you're meant for bigger and better things. Don't, just because this one door got slammed in your face, don't stop now. Keep chasing it. You know what I mean? And how many of us fall short in that aspect?
Right. Yeah.
So, couple questions I like to ask, guys. So, like, in your life now, do you have certain structure? Do you have like a morning routine or anything like that you do every day?
Yes, I wake up at 4:30 every morning.
Woo! I love it.
I go to the gym, which I have a beautiful home gym at home. Pretty killer. But I go downtown, Danville. I got a workout partner I've been training with for about 3 years now.
Nice.
So we meet up in the morning at 5:30 and train. I get to the shop about 7:15. It gives me about 45 minutes to get paperwork and things done at the shop. I can get a lot done in 45 minutes. I tell people more happens at the shop before 8 a.m. and gets done than they even know.
And I think that you'll hear every successful business owner say the exact same thing. There's something to be said for that. And like I told you, we went to, my wife and I went to Tampa over the weekend, and I met a lot of super successful people. And the one thing they had in common was they get up early and they have a morning routine.
Yep.
And, you know, another thing that you mentioned, you know, so you have a workout partner, which I'm going to call him an accountability partner, but you know, every single day you guys are meeting up. And if you don't show up one day, he's like, well, where in the hell's Steve at? You know?
Yeah.
So I feel like in this world, we as men like to do things on our own. But we're not, it's supposed to be a community. We're supposed to do things together. We're, you know, your buddy inviting you to go golfing. Like, like that's good stuff. We need more of that in the world, and not rely on ourselves so much to do things.
Yep. Support. It takes support.
Yeah, and supportive of each other. And I think that's one of the things that's good in this group, because there's guys that are supporting each other, and guys that, you know, the Kevin Crable of the world that post all their workouts on here as a form of accountability. Like, he doesn't have one; he's got 600 plus accountability partners on there. If he doesn't start showing, it's like, where you at, Kevin?
Yeah.
So, dude, that's awesome. But so if you could go back to like when you were 20 or 21, was there anything you would do differently?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know if I can really answer that. I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, overall, I've been pretty regimented on everything. I was taught at a young age to be good with money. Learned that from my dad, because again, you know, my parents didn't have hardly anything. So, you know, my dad passed on, you know, being good with money and passed on a work ethic. That's what I gained from him. You know, I believe everything happens for a reason. That's kind of one of my go-to sayings. And I say it way more often than I should, but everything happens for a reason. So anything that may have happened or I chose to do led me to where I'm at today.
Yes.
So, you know, I mean, in a sense, I guess, you know, maybe if I could have had the means to invest more at a younger age, that would have been cool.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, I held off on investing because I was trying to scrape money together to start a business. I felt like that was my investment. You know, it's tough. I mean, I guess to go back, I would have told myself not to be so hard on myself and enjoy those birthdays.
Yeah.
Dude, you're only 25. You've got time. Dude, I was miserable. My last birthday at the shop I was at, I walked in, and of course I didn't tell anybody it's my birthday. I was just in a crappy mood. Finally, at like 3 o'clock, you know, we worked till 5. My boss calls me in, and he's like, "Hey, I want to apologize." And I said, "For what?" And he goes, "Happy birthday." And he goes, "I asked the guys, what's wrong with Steve today?" And they said, "It's his birthday. You know how he gets."
That's great.
It's all would have been not so hard on myself, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's a good one. And you know, it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes some of us in this soft society, the soft culture we're in, we're not hard enough on ourselves. But then there's guys like you who are too hard on yourself. Then we need to give ourselves a little credit and say, hey, as long as I'm doing what I need to do every single day and trust the process, then I'm going to get the results that I want. But I can't, you know, with my spirituality now, as Christians, you see a lot of these people say, I want to lose weight. I'm gonna sit on the couch and still eat my Doritos, and God will take care of it. But no, you got to get up and you got to take action towards what you want in life. You know, I think so many people just get caught up in like, you know, it's okay, not today. I'll start tomorrow. How many people say I'll start tomorrow? I'll start January 1st. You know? Oh, geez.
Yeah, anything in life worth having takes work. Period.
Bingo. And I think a lot of guys,
it's your job, it's your money, it's your relationship, it's your body. It takes work.
It takes being very intentional on those different, you know, subjects, whatever it is. But yeah,
so
like
now
you said,
we can get back to, you know, lighting that fire under people's butt to put that work in, you know.
Yep. You don't get arms like that from not working out, not being intentional about what you're doing.
It's called being obsessed, going to the gym for years.
Yes. And, you know, going back to what you said about, you know, success without fulfillment, I got the opportunity to hang out and meet Steve Weatherford, the guy who punted for the Giants. for years and won a Super Bowl trophy. And he said, when we had won the Super Bowl, and he had set a couple of NFL records during the Super Bowl. And he's like, I'm holding this trophy up thinking, is this it? Like, am I supposed to be having these feelings right now? Because I don't have any feelings. He's like, I was so unfulfilled. He's like, that it wasn't worth it. And so I think he had played for 10 years. And so then he had retired, and he said, I retired. He's like, I had plenty of leg left. I could go back and do it right now. He says, but I was chasing something through sports because I was the NFL's fittest man. I won these Super Bowls. I'd done this stuff, but he's like, I wasn't fulfilled. So I retired. And that's when he started chasing fulfillment and realizing like, this isn't going to make me happy. What's going to make me happy? Right. And then he said, he goes, if I were you, I wouldn't be surprised to see me playing for the Dallas Cowboys next year. I said, okay, I'll remember that. So because I found myself, I found out what makes me happy. And he's like, it's not in material things. It's not in Super Bowl trophies. It's not being the fittest man alive. I'm like, dude, there's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying right there. And we as men need to understand that, because I fall in that same category. I'm going to own my own business. I got all these nice toys. Yep. Doesn't mean I don't feel any better,
Right.
So yeah, once we realize that, and like you said, being your own, living your dream for the most part, you wrote down your goal. I'm going to own my own shop. It's probably never felt like a day of work, has it?
I mean, only when sometimes things hit the fan. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
In the auto body industry, there's a lot of variables within the industry that can screw up a day. Yeah. But when I sit back and think about like what else would I do, I can't think of anything else. This is it. It's in my blood.
And it's sure as hell beats going to work for somebody else.
Oh yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Steve, I so appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, because you know what? There are guys like you in this group who because there's plenty of guys that need to hear this story and be like, dude, I like Steve, and hopefully, guys will now be reaching out to you, asking you questions, because there's other guys in here that want to own up body shops or just any small business in general, So, dude, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out and talk.
I love working with everybody, and I tell you what, I can still use some pointers. It's nice to get together, collaborate, brainstorm ideas. Like we discussed, it takes support. Sure. Sometimes no matter what you've been doing, how long you've been doing it, getting somebody else's perspective on things can certainly be eye-opening.
For sure, definitely. So, dude, I appreciate it. Have a great day and enjoy the weekend.
You as well.
Awesome. See you, Steve.
See you.